So lately, I've been getting back into competitive Pokemon, and while looking up some stats on Goodra for a team I've been working on, I noticed something. Goodra's Pokedex entry in Pokemon Y states, it attacks with retractable horns. It throws a punch that's the equivalent of the force of 100 pro boxers. This brought to my attention that a lot of Pokedex entries are very strange. Considering the Pokedex is supposed to be a scientific documentation of every species of Pokemon, claiming that Goodra can punch at the equivalent of 100 boxers is a bit of an ambiguous term. Science is supposed to be exact, or at least very approximate, so what kind of scientist writes entries like this? Maybe the professors write them like this purposely to make it easier for trainers to understand, seeing as how most of them are 10 to 13 years old with little to no formal education. However, if this were the case, then why aren't Pokedexes readily available to everybody, available for sale at your local Pokemart? The professors only give Pokedexes to the protagonists and rivals, so if you haven't figured out where I'm going with this yet, allow me to explain. When you first look at a Pokemon's Dex entry without having caught that Pokemon, you don't get an entry, you just get a name. Only once you catch the Pokemon do you get information on it. This can be easily explained. Perhaps it's not the professors who write the Dex entries, but rather the trainers. If you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. Once you catch the Pokemon, you are able to further study it, get its typing, footprint, classify it by its body type. You're able to write about that Pokemon now that you know more about it. This may explain why the Pokedex is just completely blank when you first get it. Going back to Goodra, for example, its Pokedex entry says that it's able to punch with a force of 100 boxers. The trainer would not have known this information unless they had a Goodra and were able to examine it. This may also attempt to explain why there's version differences between Pokedex entries. For example, Goodra's Pokedex entry in X is different from its Pokedex entry in Y. However, this does not solve our ambiguous measurement problem. For example, Grimer's Pokedex entry in Pokemon Fire Red says, sludge exposed to X-rays from the moon transformed into Grimer. It loves feeding on filthy things. This seems like something a 10-year-old kid would say. You can't deny that kids tend to exaggerate and make up stories. If you've ever heard a young kid describe anything, then you know that they aren't very good at putting things into perspective. This entry is also clearly not backed up by science, as X-rays would not do this. The moon does not emit X-rays either, it just reflects them, so if this isn't evidence enough that the trainers write Pokedex entries, then I don't know what is. So next time you question a Pokedex entry's validity, just remember that it was meant to look like it was written by a 10-year-old.